Good morning, children. Children, yesterday you told me that part 3 of Unit 1, that is about history of trade and commerce in India. I had uploaded a video about this earlier, but you said the images were not clear. Maybe during compression, the image resolution was affected. So I'm creating this video lecture again. In this lecture, you are going to study about the history of trade and commerce in India, how trade and commerce evolved in India. That is, you have to see. Look at the picture here. Our country, India, as we know that it is covered, on the north side it is covered with mountains, and towards the south it is surrounded by water. So in early days what happened, because we know in older days our country was, very prosperous. They were artisans, our people were mainly dependent on agriculture. There were country was very rich in natural resources, so country was producing number of natural resources, agricultural products, which were transported to other parts of the world. And for this people had created sea routes. You can see shown with blue color, there is a network of sea routes which was called maritime routes, and it was also called spice route. The network shown with blue is maritime route or spice route or sea route. Why spice route? Because through this route, mainly the spices which are produced in India, they were transported to other parts of the country, other parts of the world. As you can see, this is connecting to the southern part of Arabia. It is going up to the southern part, southeastern part of Europe also. Then it is also connecting to southeast part, the islands on the southeast of India, and to the parts of China also. The network which is shown with red, that is called Silk Route or land route. Why Silk Route? Because through this route, through land route, mainly the textile products, the fibers, silk, cotton fibers, and the woven products, they were transported to different parts of the world. So these two channels were created, the maritime route and the silk route, through which all the products which were, all the things, all the goods which were produced in India, they were transported to other parts of the world. In excavation of Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, it was revealed that these used to be the commercial cities in older days in ancient India. These two cities were the main trade centers, were the main centers where business developed in ancient India. These civilizations had established commercial connections with Mesopotamia and traded in gold, silver, copper, gemstones, beads, pearls, seashells, etc. As I told you, in our country has always been very rich in natural resources. All these natural resources, gold, silver, copper, gemstones, pearls, etc., they were produced in abundance, and people established commercial ties with other parts of the world also. Mesopotamia, that is the older name, the word Mesopotamia, that basically means a place covered with rivers on the two sides. So, in the present time, this place, Mesopotamia, is basically the area of Iran, Iraq, Egypt, Syria, etc. And it is covered by, why we called it Mesopotamia, as the word Mesopotamia means surrounded by water on the two sides or between the two rivers or two water bodies. And the two rivers which surrounded this place Mesopotamia were Euphrates and Tigris. These two rivers, they were covering this entire area which was called Mesopotamia. And these civilizations, Harappa and Mohenjo-daro, they mainly established their commercial ties, they established their connections to sell all the goods which were produced in India with Mesopotamia. And as I said, Mesopotamia was the area which was covered by rivers on the two sides. So all these products, gold, silver, copper, gemstones, etc., etc., they were mainly transported through sea routes or maritime route. There were different types of coins and weighing practices during that time. Just have a look at the coins which were used in older days. Now we are going to study more about history of trade and commerce in India under these subheads: indigenous banking system, rise of intermediaries, transport, merchant corporations, major trade centers, major exports and imports, position of Indian subcontinent in the world economy, and India begins to reindustrialize. These are going to be the subheads which we are going to see one by one. And since most of the images will be self-explanatory, so I'll just give you a very quick explanation about that. Indigenous banking system. Indigenous banking system means indigenous. The word indigenous means something occurring naturally in a place, something which occurs naturally. So indigenous banking system, how banking system evolved in India, automatically how it evolved. So we know that you have read in previous class that in older days there was barter system. What barter system was? Where the things, the goods or the services would be exchanged. There was no exchange of money. People would be exchanging their goods or services to fulfill each other's needs. That was barter system. Later on, what happened? People started giving metal coins. They started making coins, because in older days, as I said, the country was very prosperous. People had gold, silver, these kind of metals were in abundance at that time. So people started making coins out of gold, out of silver, and they would be using these coins in exchange for any good or any service which they would buy from other people. लोगों से जो सामान या कोई काम कराएंगे उसके बदले वो ये कॉइन्स दिया करते थे. सोने की कॉइन्स हुआ करती थी, सिल्वर की हुआ करती थी, चांदी की, कॉपर, ब्रॉन्ज. दीज वर द मेटल्स विच आर यूज्ड फॉर मेकिंग दीज कॉइन्स. An economic life progressed, metallic money had been introduced, which in turn accelerated the economic activities. Documents such as hundi and chitti were in use for carrying out transaction in which money passed from one hand to another hand. Now this is something very important, hundi or chitti. Hundi or chitti, what that was basically a transaction. I mean, that was an instrument of money transaction. एक आदमी से दूसरे तक मनी ट्रांसफ़र करने का जो एक क्रेडिट नोट होता था, दैट वाज कॉल्ड हुंडी और चिट्ठी. पहले लोग जो थे वो मेटल कॉइन्स में डील किया करते थे. उसके बाद ग्रेजुअली व्हाट हैपेंड, like if you buy something from any person and that person is not in a position to give you money right at that moment, so what that person would give you, वो एक क्रेडिट नोट आपको दे देंगे जिसको हुंडी या चिट्ठी कहा जाता था. और उसमें जिसने कोई सामान ख़रीदा है उसका नाम मेंशन होता था. दोनों पार्टीज़ का, जो बाइंग पार्टी होती थी, जो सेलिंग होती थी, दोनों के उसमें सिग्नेचर होते थे, दोनों के उसमें नाम मेंशन होते थे. इट वुड आल्सो शो द डेट, जिसमें एक एग्रीमेंट होता था कि इस पर्टिकुलर डेट पर आपको वो दे दिया जाएगा, पैसा आपका दे दिया जाएगा. वो डेट भी उसमें मेंशन होती थी. सो दिस इज़ व्हाट was called as hundi or chitti. There were several types of hundi or chitti. Mainly two types of hundis which were used in those days were darshini hundi or muddati hundi. Darshini what was, like जो immediate darshini, जैसे दर्श देखना, जैसे जिस टाइम जैसे आपने उसको दिया तो उसका तुरंत आपको पेमेंट करना होगा. And muddati, where certain period would be mentioned. Suppose you buy something but you can't pay it today, so you will be giving a muddati hundi, that after a month on this particular date I'll be making payment for this thing. So that will be called a muddati hundi. Besides, there were a few other varieties of hundis. नाम जोग हुंडी, जिसमें क्या होता था कि जो जिस पार्टी को पेमेंट करना होता था उस पार्टी का नाम उस पे मेंशन होता था. अदर वन वाज धनी जोग हुंडी. धनी जोग हुंडी में जो ओनर होता था जिसमें आपने किसी से जो ओनर है किसी चीज़ का, किसी सर्विस, या जो प्रोड्यूसर है किसी सामान का, उसका नाम मेंशन्ड होगा. जवाबी हुंडी, जवाबी मीन्स रिप्लाई. दैट वाज अ काइंड ऑफ हुंडी, दैट वाज अ काइंड ऑफ क्रेडिट नोट, जिसमें आपने जब वंस यू रिसीव द पेमेंट यू हैव टू रिप्लाई, यू हैव टू गिव अ रिस्पॉन्स. एक उसमें एक्नॉलेजमेंट आपको शो करना होता था आफ्टर रिसीविंग द पेमेंट. सो दैट was called a jawabi hundi. Other one was jokhmi hundi. Jokhmi, that is basically a Hindi word, jokhim, suna hoga aapne, that is risk. So when this hundi was used, jokhmi hundi was mainly used when you are selling some goods which are likely to get damaged during transportation, which are likely to get destroyed or damaged. पहले ट्रांसपोर्ट सिस्टम इतना ज़्यादा डेवलप था नहीं, मेनली कैटल कार्ट्स और ये सब यूज़ हुआ करती थी. तो अगर आप कुछ सामान भेज रहे हैं, सपोज़ यू कुछ आप एग्रीकल्चरल प्रोडक्ट्स कुछ भेज रहे हैं, जैसे आप कॉटन फाइबर या सिल्क फाइबर इस तरह का सामान भेज रहे हैं, विच वुड टेक लॉट्स ऑफ टाइम इन रीचिंग टू द अदर पार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड. सो उसमें रिस्क क्या होता था कि ड्यूरिंग द जर्नी, ड्यूरिंग अ लॉन्ग जर्नी, देयर वर चांसेस ऑफ द मटीरियल गेटिंग डिस्ट्रॉयड, डैमेज्ड, राइट. तो उस केस में आपने सामान किसी को भेज दिया, बट अगर आपका सामान खराब हो गया है, देन दैट पर्सन वुड नॉट बी विलिंग टू पे फॉर इट. सो देन यू विल बी इशूइंग जोखमी हुंडी. लाइक उसका मतलब ये होता था कि अगर आपको सामान जो भी आपने गुड्स भेजे हैं, if you receive it in proper condition, then you have to pay. If you do not receive it in proper condition, if the material has been lost or destroyed or damaged, then you are not responsible to pay for it. So that was called a jokhmi hundi. Then another one was farman jog hundi. फरमान मीन्स ऑर्डर. उसमें क्या होता था कि दो लोगों के बीच नहीं होता था ये मनी ट्रांसफ़र, मनी ट्रांजैक्शन, बट उसमें एक थर्ड पार्टी भी इन्वॉल्व होती थी. सपोज यू राइट अ नोट टू समबडी कि आप एक सी को, कोई यू आर ए, द अदर पार्टी इज बी जिसको पे करना है, एंड देयर इज़ अ पर्सन सी जिसका आप नाम मेंशन कर रहे हैं कि बी को आप ऑर्डर कर रहे हैं कि सी को इतना पेमेंट कर दीजिए. सो दैट वाज कॉल्ड फरमान जोग हुंडी. Look at the pictures of hundi. These hundis, they were mainly used as a credit instrument to borrow money. अगर आपको किसी जो उस टाइम पर साहूकार या जिनको सर्राफ, साहूकार, सेठ इन नामों से जाना जाता था, मनी लेंडर्स जो मेनली होते थे, जिनके पास बहुत पैसा होता था, तो अगर आपको अपना लाइक एग्रीकल्चर एक्टिविटी या किसी और आप जो लोग उस टाइम उसमें काम करते थे उनको अपना बिजनेस बढ़ाने के लिए जब मनी बोरो करनी होती थी इन मनी लेंडर से, सो इट वाज यूज्ड एज अ क्रेडिट इंस्ट्रूमेंट टू बोरो द मनी, एज रेमिटेंस इंस्ट्रूमेंट टू ट्रांसफर फंड्स फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर. सपोज थिंग्स आर बीइंग सोल्ड फ्रॉम इंडिया टू सम अदर पार्ट ऑफ द वर्ल्ड, देन उसमें जो द हुंडी विच वुड बी इशूड, दैट वुड बी टू ट्रांसफर फंड्स फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर. Third use of these hundis was for trade transactions as bills of exchange. Rise of intermediaries, the middlemen or the people who are not directly involved in trade and business, but they help us. Even in present day, we have to depend on so many things. If we establish our business, there are several agencies, there are several institutions which do not play a direct role in our business activity, but they help us in some or the other way. So likewise, it was in older days also, there were several people who would play an important role in expanding your business, जिसमें broker होते थे. After the things were manufactured or extracted, they would be sold out थ्रू द ब्रोकर्स. ब्रोकर्स का क्या रोल होगा कि वो उनका एक सर्टेन परसेंटेज, एक कमीशन उस पर फिक्स रहता था कि सपोज यू प्रोड्यूस समथिंग, उसमें आपकी कॉस्ट अगर आपकी आई है सी फॉर एग्जाम्पल ₹100, राइट, सो यू विल बी सेलिंग दिस टू द ब्रोकर फॉर आफ्टर फिक्सिंग सर्टेन प्रॉफिट. आप उसको सपोज 120 पर पीस आप उसको ब्रोकर को सेल कर रहे हैं, एंड दैट ब्रोकर कैन टेक इट फर्दर एंड वो उसका अपना एक होल सेल और एक रिटेल का अपना नेटवर्क क्रिएट करेगा जिसमें वो अपना प्रॉफिट ऐड करके उसको आगे सेल आउट करेगा. देन वर डिस्ट्रीब्यूटर्स, जैसे आज भी हमारे जो बिजनेस एक्टिविटी के हमारे नेटवर्क होता है उसमें वी हैव होलसेलर्स वुड बी परचेजिंग द स्टफ इन बल्क एंड एट अ लेसर प्राइस देन द रिटेल रेट. जो रिटेल प्राइस होता है जिस पे कस्टमर के पास जिस रेट पर जाता है, तो ये जो होलसेलर्स होते हैं उनका परचेज रेट उससे कम होगा एंड उसमें फिर वो अपना प्रॉफिट ऐड करके दे वुड बी पासिंग दिस टू द रिटेलर्स. देन मनी बैंकर्स, जो इन ओल्डर डेज पुराने इंडिया में पुराने टाइम में उनको हम कहते थे सर्राफ्स, श्रॉफ भी उनका के लिए वर्ड होता था, जगत सेठ एंड मेनी सच महाजन, दीज वर द नेम्स. दे would be helping people in expanding or developing their business by lending money. Next is transport. We have seen this in the first slide. The transport system that was developed in ancient India, maritime route, silk route, maritime route that was sea route, silk route that was mainly the land route. Transport by land and sea was popular in the ancient times. Roads as a means of communication had assumed key importance in the entire process of growth. Paper was particularly valued in the Roman Empire and was known as black gold. As I told you, maritime route was also called spice route because spices were mainly transported through this sea route. And in older days, paper was produced in bulk, and that was very much valued. That was very much people would be buying that paper thing from India. It was very much valued in Roman Empire, and it was known as black gold. The next comes merchant corporations. There were several people. As the business evolved, people started engaging themselves into several kinds of business activities, and they formed their own corporations. These corporations, they were called guilds. इन corporations को क्या बोला करते थे? Guilds. उनकी अपने सारे जो एक तरह के business में जो लोग involved होते थे, वो एक corporation establish करके उसका नाम रखा था, उसको guild बोला करते थे. And उसके सारे जो भी फैसले हुआ करते थे, they would be framing their own rules. Like उसमें जो उस टाइम का ruling king होगा, he would not have his say into these kind of business activities because all the procedures, all the set of rules, they would be framed by the guild, by the chief of the guild. उनका एक head होता था guild का, जिसको बोलते थे Sarthavaha or Sreni Pramukh. That was the name for the guild chief, and that person was responsible for framing all the rules. And these rules, जो ये merchant corporations के जो rules, जो set of rules होते थे, they were called Samay और Sreni Dharma. The guild chief directly dealt with the king or tax collectors and settled the market toll on behalf of its fellow merchants at a fixed sum of money. Like इनको एक जैसे टैक्स का सिस्टम आज भी है हमारी सोसाइटी में, इसी तरह ओल्डर डेज में भी क्या होता था कि ये सारे जो बिजनेसमैन जो भी जितने मर्चेंट्स होते थे, दे हैड टू पे अ सर्टेन अमाउंट टू द रूलिंग किंग एज टैक्स. एक जैसे आज भी हम गवर्नमेंट को सारी चीज़ों के लिए टैक्स देते हैं, इसी तरह पुराने टाइम में भी एक ये सिस्टम किंग्स का डेवलप किया हुआ था कि पीपल हैड टू पे टैक्स और टोल. तो जो ये गिल्ड चीफ होते थे, दे वुड डिसाइड, वो डायरेक्ट उनका किंग से करके एक नेगोशिएशन करने के बाद दे वुड बी फिक्सिंग व्हाट अमाउंट ऑल द फेलो मर्चेंट्स, जो गिल्ड के ऑल द मेंबर्स, ऑल द फेलो मर्चेंट्स, हाउ व्हाट अमाउंट दे वुड बी रिक्वायर्ड टू पे टू द किंग एज टैक्स और टोल. नेक्स्ट इज मेजर ट्रेड सेंटर्स. देयर वर ऑल काइंड्स ऑफ टाउन्स. पोर्ट टाउन्स जो सी पोर्ट पर जो स्टैब्लिश थे, जो टाउन्स थे लाइक विशाखापट्टनम, जो लाइक जो पोर्ट टाउन्स हैं जिससे बिजनेस मेनली एक्सपेंड होता था थ्रू सी रूट. तो टाउन्स को अलग अलग कैटेगरी में रखा गया था, लाइक पोर्ट टाउन्स, मैन्युफैक्चरिंग टाउन्स. मैन्युफैक्चरिंग टाउन्स वर दोज टाउन्स वेयर नेचुरल रिसोर्सेज वर like produced or extracted in abundance, and these towns were mainly they gave rise to number of business जो like कहीं पर cotton इसमें गुजरात इन एरियाज में कॉटन प्रोडक्शन बहुत ज़्यादा होता था, तो वहाँ टेक्सटाइल का काम डेवलप होने लगा, वहाँ टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्रीज डेवलप होने लगी. देन देवर मर्केंटाइल टाउन्स एंड पिलग्रिमेज टाउन्स, कुछ जहाँ पर लोग जाया करते थे, जैसे जिसको बोलते हैं तीर्थ स्थान, pilgrimage places. People would go to that places, so those towns were categorized as pilgrimage towns. Let's have a look at the towns which were mainly the trade centers in ancient India. The first one is Patliputra, which is in today, in present day we call it Patna, which is in Bihar, the capital of Bihar. It was a commercial town and major center for export of stones. Next was Peshawar. This is now in Pakistan, and it was popular to export wool and for the import of horses. Next was Taxila. This again is in Pakistan in the current day, and it was known as the city of financial and commercial banks. Next, Indraprastha, that was the old name of Delhi, the capital of India, New Delhi. That was in ancient India, it was called Indraprastha. It was a commercial junction where most routes leading the east, west, south and north converged. They all joined here in the center. That was basically the main center for trade. मथुरा, दैट इज़ आज भी इसका नाम मथुरा ही है, यूपी का एक सिटी है ये. इट वॉज एन एम्पोरियम ऑफ ट्रेड एंड पीपल हियर लिव्ड ऑन कॉमर्स. वाराणसी, अगेन अ सिटी इन यूपी, दैट वॉज मेनली फॉर टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्रीज. आज भी बनारसी साड़ी बहुत फेमस है, वहाँ पर सिल्क और इस सब का जो फैब्रिक और टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्रीज़ काफ़ी हैं वहाँ पर. तो ये उसी टाइम से स्टार्ट हो गया था, एंशियंट टाइम से ही इस सिटी में टेक्सटाइल इंडस्ट्रीज डेवलप हो गई थी, विच वाज फेमस फॉर गोल्ड सिल्क क्लॉथ एंड सैंडलवुड वर्कमैनशिप. मिथिला, अगेन इन बिहार, द ट्रेडर्स इन दिस सिटी क्रॉस द सीज बाय बोट्स through Bay of Bengal. Look at the location in India, map of India, the political map of India. Look at the location of this city. Ujjain city in MP. Look here at the center of India. Different varieties of clothes were exported to different centers. Kanchi, that is Kanchipuram, that today we call as Kanchipuram, and it is located in Tamil Nadu. Chinese came here to purchase pearls, glass and rare stones, and in return they sold gold and silk. Madura, a city in Tamil Nadu, it was the capital of Pandya dynasty, who controlled the trade of pearl and fisheries of the Gulf of Mannar. Broch, which is called Bharuch in Gujarat, it was a trade center in western India. Kaveri Patta, which is known as Kaveri Pattanam in Tamil Nadu today, it was also famous for perfumes, cosmetics, scents, silk, wool, cotton, and also for shipbuilding. Tamralipti, a city in West Bengal, it was one of the greatest ports connected. This mainly was the port city. It was connecting both sea and land. It was linked by road to Banaras and Taxila. Now major exports and imports, what things were mainly exported, जो इंडिया में ज़्यादा प्रोड्यूस होती थी, जो वर्ल्ड के दूसरे पार्ट को एक्सपोर्ट की जाती थी, और कौन सी चीज़ें इंडिया में उस टाइम दूसरे कंट्री से इंपोर्ट की जाती थी. एक्सपोर्ट्स वर मेनली स्पाइसेस, wheat, sugar, indigo, opium, sesame oil, cotton. These were the agricultural products which were produced in abundance in India, and they were exported to other countries. Then there were animal husbandry, that too was the main occupation of the people, and parrots, live animals and animal products, hides, skin, furs, horns, tortoise shells, pearls, sapphire, quartz, these kind of gemstones, all these were exported. Imports, imports included horses, animal products, Chinese silk, flax and linen, wine, gold, silver, tin, copper, lead, rubies, coral, glass, amber, etc. These type of things were imported from other parts of the world. India in world economy, the country was, you all must have heard about this, that in ancient days our country was so prosperous that it was called Sone ki Chiriya, a golden bird, Swarnbhumi or Swarndeep. These were the names given by foreign travelers to our country in ancient time. Then what happened after independence? Like as you must have read in previous classes, that our country was so prosperous, but gradually what happened after British, they captured our country, they came to India, they established East India Company, and what they did, all the things which were produced in India, they sold at a very cheap rates. बहुत कम दामों पे यहाँ से ख़रीद लिया करते थे. They would take it to Britain, they would produce, they would use these raw materials, produce the goods, bring it back to India, and they'll be selling it for very high rates. तो यहाँ के लोगों का क्या हुआ कि जो अपना मैन्युफैक्चरिंग उनकी होती थी, लाइक जो हैंडीक्राफ्ट्स एंड ऑल दीज थिंग्स विच वर मेड विद हैंड्स, लोग हाथ से जो सामान बनाया करते थे और उससे उनका चला करता था, अपनी लाइवलीहुड उससे अर्न किया करते थे, उनका रॉ मटेरियल यहाँ से इंडिया से बाहर जाने लगा और बाहर से सामान महंगा उनको मिलने लगा इंडिया में. तो क्या हुआ कि वो धीरे धीरे दे स्टार्टेड बिकमिंग पुअरर डे बाय डे, एंड द कंट्री विच वॉज वंस कॉल्ड गोल्डन बर्ड और स्वर्णभूमि, दैट was like financially, economically was not so sound. So but after that what happened, you have read all about independence, struggle for freedom, and then finally the India got its independence. And after independence, India begins to reindustrialize. The first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, he started rebuilding the Indian economy, and as a part of the first 5 years plan that was implemented in 1952. Due importance was given to the establishment of modern industries, modern technological and scientific institutes, space and nuclear programs. To overcome the problems of lack of capital, rise in population, huge expenditure on defense, inadequate infrastructure, etc., India relied heavily on borrowings from foreign sources and finally agreed to economic liberalization in 1991. Like when East India Company was established, and उस टाइम पर पूरा इंडिया का इकोनॉमिक सिस्टम पूरा सब डिस्ट्रप्शन हो गया था, then it was agreed, एक रूल बनाया गया था कि बाहर से कोई किसी तरह की ट्रेडिंग नहीं होगी. But this there was again a change in economic policy, and economic liberalization came in 1991, जिसमें ये हुआ कि to strengthen our economy, it's very important that we should establish trade ties with other nations, and thus economic liberalization started in 1991. In the present day, the recent initiatives of the Government of India, such as Make in India, Skill India, Digital India, foreign trade policy, is expected to help the economy in terms of exports and imports and trade balance. Like you must have read about these projects. Make in India, what is that? Instead of depending on the goods which are exported from other countries, we should try to produce all the things here in India itself. Skill India, government has initiated a plan under which they are trying to make people skillful, make people develop all the skills which are required to develop India financially. So that's all. This was about evolution of India. We'll meet in the next lecture.